Good morning and welcome back to another pipeline trading video. Today I want to cover what's going on in the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything I've been covering and watching this week, including BMNR. Because right now we're seeing a lot of people say the bottom is in, but we've seen this playbook before. If you go back to March 24th, 2025, we had a gap up. Price pushed, I believe it gapped up, open above the 200-day moving average, broke above the 20-day moving average, and everybody was like, this is super bullish. We're going in. Bottoms in. This is the leg to the next new high. Only to completely reverse and break back down over the next 3 days. And that was the beginning of the next leg lower, the start of it. So before you assume this bounce means anything concrete, understand the context. It could be a trap. And it typically in this environment, the probability leans to it being a trap. This isn't financial advice. This is for you to have a bird's eye view and not to be sucked into what's going on in the news. So now let's start with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq chart. As you can see, we're getting a nice bounce. But right now, that doesn't mean anything. If you look at where the moving averages are, we can easily move and test the 20-day or the 50-day and then roll back into liquidity. And that's a very real scenario that I want you to pay attention to. This move right here, it means nothing yet. We can even push into the order block to the upside that you're seeing in a dark brown tinge. That's the liquidity zone above. So it could go all the way up there, take liquidity, and then move back down to the downside. And do I think this is happening right now? No, I don't. Unless something major changes, I don't see us pushing that high. Now let's talk about the data. Nothing has really improved. Oil prices continue to rise. And let's take a look at oil. That's a problem. If we look at oil, this is something I've been warning about. We could absolutely see 120, 150 a barrel prices. On the daily chart, oil is still bullish. We held the 200-day moving average and we're continuing higher. Could we pull back, grab liquidity, and then push higher again? Absolutely. Now, a lot of people are calling this red candle a topping wick. And yes, to some extent, that very well can be true, but it could also act as an area of liquidity, meaning prices could come back up, take out those highs, and then we could go back down to the downside after things calm down. And I've seen this happen more times than I'd like to admit and count. Trust me, it's cost me. And if we go back to 2022, oil hit around $128 a barrel. So we could very easily see a double top or even a new high. And if that happens, it aligns with my broader market thesis. I do not believe we hit the final downside target on the S&P or the Nasdaq. And that's important because right now, I'm seeing a lot of people calling the bottom, saying everything's going to rebound. It's a V-shaped recovery, and the V-shaped recovery might happen. It's just not yet. A V-shaped recovery happens when you see capitulation to the downside. You see a 20% correction in a week. Then, yeah, you could very well see a V-shaped recovery. It's way too early to tell. We don't have that confirmation, and right now the market is trading off of headlines, and that's dangerous. If you go back and look at the levels I mapped out in my previous videos, we haven't hit key Fibonacci levels yet. We tapped the first fair value gap with the order block in blue that I put out. But there's still more liquidity. There's still imbalance in the market. And remember, nothing moves in a straight line. We broke support, came back for a retest, and then the expectation is continuing lower. Same setup on the Nasdaq. Now let's move to Bitcoin. I don't know why people are suddenly bullish. We're still in a bear flag. That is, yes, we pushed up. Yes, there was momentum where it looked like we might break out, but that doesn't confirm anything. In fact, with so many people calling for a major drop, it makes me think the move won't be as obvious. It doesn't make me think, I know the move won't be as obvious because it never is. But what we could see is a bounce towards the 50-day, maybe even higher, a quick break up like I explained in the S&P and the Nasdaq. But structurally, it's going to fall apart because we are in a bear flag. So it might go to the top of the bear flag, which you can see the lines drawn in. And here's something important. Maybe the right shoulder hasn't formed yet. Maybe we come back up, complete the structure, and then roll over lower. Or maybe we break down sooner. We don't know yet. So let the charts confirm. Now, Ethereum is a bit different. It didn't break down the same way Bitcoin did. And that's pretty interesting. If anything, Ethereum looks closer to a bottom. Now let's talk about BM&R for a second. On the daily chart is showing something very interesting. It looks like it's front running Ethereum. We broke out of the structure and now we're coming back to retest. This could either lead to the next leg down or signal that the move is complete. And that's for ETH, which my target zone is roughly between 1,771 and 1,662. That's where I'm looking to accumulate more. And if we go lower, I'll add more. So we might get a secondary test of 1,771 or break to where you could see the lines I drew in, the diagonal lines, which if you see, I connected one to the bottom of the wicks and then I added another line that touches only, well, the most amount of candlesticks. So it gives you a little bit of a gap between the two, like a channel, but the number is between 1,771 and 1,662. And what also is very, very interesting is we have hit major Fibonacci confluence levels. So the 0.88 level I've used for a long time, and we've hit it from multiple ranges. So that's very strong. You could see there's a real argument that ETH is closer to a bottom than people think. But again, there are multiple scenarios that could play out. We could see a double bottom, like a secondary test, or we can make one more leg down. And right now we wait, we stay patient, we let the market confirm. Because here's the reality, I do not believe Bitcoin has bottomed yet. Historically, there are still pieces missing. Could this time be different? Absolutely. But until proven otherwise, I'm expecting either more downside or more consolidation before downside. But when you look at the RSI, we're getting closer to oversold conditions, but it doesn't really mean much if you look to the last bear market we had. Even when it was still oversold, it still went lower. So yes, we are getting closer to a bottom, but we're not there yet. And these moves happen fast, sometimes within weeks. Sometimes, if you look at the last one, we saw a massive drop to the downside that was within 9 days. So remember, don't chase the high lines. That's how you get caught. Markets don't move in straight lines. They chop, they trap, and they build structure, and then they move. Right now, we could easily see a bounce, sideways consolidation, like a bear flag, and a false sense of strength. And then the markets move lower into key liquidation zones and Fibonacci levels. There's Wyckoff, there's Elliott Wave. There's so many things that you can use, and all of them will line up to the same thing. So if you're trying to figure it out, don't guess. Let the charts tell you. Stay disciplined, stay patient, because we're at a critical moment where the next move will define the trend. If you found this helpful, subscribe and hit the bell icon and stay connected, and leave it in the comments below. Do you think we're going to hit the bottom in April or May or June? And also, let me know if there's any other companies or plays that you're looking at that you want me to chart and do a video on, or post. I can take a picture, write out my thoughts, and then post it for you. And if that is something that is interesting to you, please support me in the work that I do. As this is a passion of mine, it's a dream job that I get to live out. And if I can help people along the way, that would be great. So as always, stay disciplined, trade with intention, and God bless you all.